Hello everybody and welcome once again to Tutorials Point. Interviews and interviews. Well, who doesn't want a hike in salary? No matter you have to face an interview or not, right? But salary is something that we all are looking forward to, isn't it? Be it the end of the day or be it during your negotiation in an interview. Now, well, if you had to get it by the end of every month, that was not an issue because it was fixed. But how about the time when you were busy negotiating your salary? How could you, kind of bring your package to the maximum that you wanted to? Well, in this video, we are going to discuss about certain things which you should avoid saying during the time when you are negotiating your salaries, right? So this is of course very important to all of us, isn't it? So let's not waste any time and go ahead. Okay, so first thing which is very important to take care of is sorry. Well, sorry is a word which is a very important part and parcel of our life. Well, it is a good idea to say sorry during the situations when you are wrong and you feel that things could be mended by saying a sorry. But think about it, not always. Now, sorry or being apologetic is not the best way of, not the best expression which you gotta pose during the time when you're facing an interview. Yes, that is right. So when you're being apologetic, what does it actually portray? It only portrays to the interviewer that you yourself are not convinced of the figures that you are quoting, and that if you end up portraying that, well then God can save you. Yes, that is right. Because then whatever you say or any figure that you quote might not convince the interviewer as much. Why? Because you're being apologetic, and you're being apologetic where it is not required. And of course, apology, as I already told you, is a great thing to do, but not always. It should be used at the right time. So just keep one thing in mind. However, once you know your worth, right, and basis your worth, whatever figure you quote for yourself, do not be apologetic about it. Be very sure of the figure that you've quoted, and post that, you definitely don't need to be apologetic about it. Well, at the same time, being rude is also not what is needed, but do not be unnecessarily apologetic, because that kind of portrays that you yourself are not sure of the numbers, which you feel that the package which you should be getting, which only means that you yourself are not sure about it. If you're so sure, you definitely don't need to be apologetic. Yes, that's right. Let's go ahead. Okay. Well, no is another very negative word. Yes, we all know that. Well, don't we get to face this word day in, day out? And when we face this word, it is kind of not a very good feeling. It is kind of a negative thing to face, isn't it? And same goes during the time when you're negotiating your salary. Well, I'm not saying that you gotta just say a yes to everything, but at the same time, you should, instead of saying, no, this doesn't work for me, instead of saying that, you probably can put it forward in a better polished way that, well, I would appreciate if we would, negotiate on these numbers that I have put forward to you, because I definitely know what my worth is, right? Or I feel that the numbers which I have put forward justify my worth very well. So you could probably put it forward this way instead of just saying a straight no. Now here is one thing which you need to keep in mind. Well, do remember one thing, that whatever words that you choose during your interview, no matter what stage of interview you are at, all of these words definitely create a very big impact, because somewhere the interviewer is also assessing as to how witty or how polished you are even for your refusals, right? So are you as straightforward? Because of course being straightforward is very good, but being way too extra curt and terse about things might just end up spoiling the broth sometimes. And we definitely don't want to recruit someone who is way too curt and way too terse in the way he or she says things, right? So even if you have to, disagree, even if you are in disagreement, you could put it forward in a different way rather than just saying, no, that doesn't work for me. So because that is kind of way too direct and kind of a shut up call, to be more precise. It's kind of, it might just sound rude. So avoid using this word, and instead of this, but at the same time, it's not that you gotta disagree with anything that you believe in, right? You might want to disagree, but in a better polished way. Okay. Well, isn't it ironic that just in the previous slide I told you not to say no, and now I'm saying not to say yes also? Well, yes, that is right. Both no and yes are actually two ends of a line, right? So instead of being way too polarized or being just kind of way too factional about your answers, it would be a better idea if you're kind of midway, but you're also, you're also conveying your message, but it's not as direct. Well, as far as saying yes is concerned, I'm sure this word has definitely helped you a lot in your life, because there are these situations or there are these opportunities in life. If we do not say a yes to them, we might just miss out on them. Well, though that is right, but it's not the case during your salary negotiation, right? You don't have to instantly say a yes to everything, because what does that portray? It only and only portrays that you are way too desperate to get this job and you yourself are not sure of what your worth is, because you might not even be aware of the fact that the number to which you agreed on, maybe the company would have paid much more than that, and you just said yes to a very, very lesser number. Well, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to be that person who said a yes to a very less number? Not really, right? So definitely choose and decide as to where you need to say yes. So instead of just saying an instant yes to anything and everything during your salary negotiation, try and have a proper figure in your mind, which definitely you know how to derive your figure by doing your company research and by using the techniques which we have discussed already in the video. So by using all of those techniques, and when you're aware of what your worth is, you definitely should quote a figure, right? So now once you have a figure in mind, you definitely will not end up just saying a yes to anything, right? So that you're not underpaid. Well, isn't it a good idea not to be underpaid? Yes, it is. Okay. Yes, another very, very important thing is later. Well, what does this word later demonstrate? It indicates procrastination, doesn't it? Of course it does. And if you're procrastinating something, well, it is not the best idea to do, because in a way, when you are kind of saying that, okay, we'll deal with it later, you're kind of delaying a very, very important part of your salary negotiation, right? So, and if you end up delaying that in a hope that, if you just push this time which you find is kind of difficult to handle, if you just end up pushing it, it might become easier later on. Well, my dear friends, that definitely doesn't happen with anything, right? So same is the case with your salary negotiation also, because you might not even you don't even know what kind of circumstances would you be faced with after some point, after probably a span of time. So maybe you delayed your negotiation and you don't even know how things changed after some time. So definitely discussing it later, or we can deal with it later, would not be the best idea. You have to be very assertive. You need to be very sure of the numbers which are there in your head. You need to put them forward in the best, in the most assertive and polite way. keep this thing in your mind while you are busy negotiating your salaries. Okay. More, I want more. Well, do you really think it is again a good expression? Again, something that indicates that you're not sure. You just said more. Well, more is a very, very vague term, right? So all of these, words or these phrases which we've been discussing, all of them just kind of round up to one thing, and that is, if you know your worth and you're sure of the figures which you need to quote, you definitely are not going to go vague. And if you're not vague while your salary negotiation, believe you me, you are not going to be underpaid. Yes, that is right. So again, I want more. Instead of when you're saying I want more, in a way, what are you portraying? You're only letting the recruiter know that you're not sure of the number that you want to be paid, right? So instead of saying I want more, which also kind of portrays, it just sounds kind of mercenary. Instead of that, you could just put forward a number, because you know what your worth is. Yes, that is right. If you do not know what your worth is, believe you me, no one else is going to know your worth. So you are the only one who can know your worth and get paid exactly what your worth is. That is right. Okay, well, now last but not the least is I want, right? So again, if you just kind of sit and introspect upon this word, you will realize whatever number that you're quoting there is not something that you want. I might want a pen, I might want a camera, I might want some dress, I might want a bag, because that is a desire, right? So it is a desire, hence you used I want this, I want that, or XYZ. But here, whatever figure that you've quoted or whatever you expect your CTC to be, it's not that you wanted it, it's not that you desired it, but it is what you deserve. It's not what you desire, but it is what you deserve. And precisely why you've been busy negotiating, because you know what you deserve, you know what your worth is, and whatever you fairly deserve, you're just demanding that. There's nothing else that you've been demanding. So instead of saying, well, I want so-and-so CTC, if you put it forward in this way that, well, I deserve so-and-so, I deserve this package, definitely it would create a huge impact, and any person, any recruiter would be very, very convinced to recruit a person who is very sure about, be it their package, be it their skills, be it their worth, be it what they deserve. Yes, that is right. So just remember one thing, until unless you know what you're worth and you know what you deserve, no one else can do that for you. So you need to be sure about your worth and you need to be sure what you deserve. It is only then that you can successfully negotiate your salary. Well, now I am sure you know why you're not going to use I want next time, right? Okay, so well, these were a few words or few phrases which you should avoid saying while you're busy negotiating your salary, just so that you don't end in a tight spot. Well, I am sure you're going to be very, very successful in your future negotiations, right? Okay, so we'll see you again in the next video. Till that time, keep learning with Tutorials Point and Tutorix. Have a good day.